All right, Roger Martin here from Billings, Montana. Horowitz here, General Inspector, Inspector General. It's coming, it's coming. And Cindy Powell, she's hitting hard too. It's coming December 9th. We have a little over a week left, and this is going to start hitting. Some of the things are sneaking out, but they're trying to get ready for what's really going on. It's going to be a kapow.
State, wave after wave, and it will be very difficult to explain away how all of this could have happened when the Patriots are producing the evidence. Think of the Flynn case. They are having a difficult time explaining this. Why did the FBI alter the 302s? Why did they hide this evidence? Sidney Powell is continually pushing and pushing and pushing, and she's backed them into a corner. This is how propaganda fails. We can see their panic. Joe Biden is panicking right now. He tweeted out the following: 4 more years of Donald Trump will fundamentally alter the character of this nation. We cannot stand by and watch that happen. What is he really talking about? He's going to alter the way the nation works. He's going to remove corruption. He's going to remove everything the deep state, the central bankers have put into place. He's going to expose it all. And we're going to enter a new phase of truth and transparency. Rudy Giuliani lets everyone know that the mainstream media is pushing fake news, and it's getting worse. He tweeted out the following: the New York Times today has so much fake news. Number one, I did not ask anyone to dig up dirt on Joe Biden, and certainly not with Dmitry Firtash, who I've never met or talked to. Number two, I never heard of Shokin meeting with Congressman Nunes. How many times can a source lie? Lawsuit. Then we find out this.
Lawsuit. You're going to get more media lawsuits on this because it's just flat propaganda and lies.
Individual in Obama's FBI altered documents that provided support for a FISA warrant obtained to spy on candidate and President Trump. The individual or individuals was soon identified as Kevin Kleinsmith, who worked with his reported lover, Sally Moyer, for the current Intelligence Community Inspector General Michael Atkinson. This is from the conservative treehouse. If you followed the case closely, the intentional removal of Peter Strzok, in combination with the explanation of the lawyer's FISA responsibilities, and in combination with the prior reporting of the FBI's Lawyer 2, it seems pretty obvious the line-level lawyer was Kevin Kleinsmith. If the Washington Post article had added all the detail and left in how the line-level attorney worked for Peter Strzok, everyone would have known who it was. Hence, they put it in more details about his activity, but removed the Strzok reference. Kevin Kleinsmith was one of the key FBI small group members on the original Clinton investigation, known as the mid-year exam, or in text messages, MYE. Within the MYE, Kleinsmith was one of the key legal staff working with Peter Strzok. Kleinsmith was a lawyer number 2 for Strzok, who eventually transferred to the subsequent Crossfire Hurricane investigation. Kleinsmith was also previously reported to be having an intimate relationship with another member of the FBI team, Sally Moyer, though that is uncertain. Tashina Tash Gwar was also a key legal figure on the main justice side of the MYE team. Sally Moyer was FBI Unit Chief in the Office of General Counsel, Counterintelligence Legal Unit with the FBI Office of General Counsel. Ms. Moyer was responsible for the legal compliance within the FBI counterintelligence operation that generated the FISA applications. When the MYE
5G.
All right, let's get past it.
finished, the Carter Page FISA construction is where Kevin Kleinsmith and Sally Moyer come together in their next assignment, the FBI investigation of Trump. The interesting connection is that Kleinsmith and Moyer both also reportedly worked for Michael Atkinson while he was an attorney with the Department of Justice. Atkinson next took a position as the ICIG. Recently, it was reported that Atkinson changed the IC whistleblower form in September, shortly after the CIA agent who was spying in the Trump White House drafted a complaint on President Trump. Atkinson saw to it that the whistleblower form was updated to allow for a second-hand information. which the whistleblower provided his complaint. Although
all this is going to be revealed, and obviously secondhand information is not permissible in law. It's just a mess.
Political bias in favor of Biden. Now, the deep state and the mainstream media, they're already trying to spin this entire story. The deep state, the mainstream media, they're attempting to downplay the actions of Kleinsmith and Moyer. There is nothing about the actions by these deep state players that should be minimized. Here are 4 reasons the actions of these Mueller gang members, who also worked on the Hillary email investigation,
Mueller gang members,
were very corrupt. These players were extremely biased. These players buried evidence. These players took 694,000 Clinton emails and they pared them down to 3,077, lying to the whole world that it was some super duper new system that allowed them to do this, which turned out to be completely false. Number 4, Sally Moyer defined the scope of the warrant to examine Hillary Clinton's emails so narrowly as to ensure these emails would never see the light of day. There is nothing remotely immaterial about the corrupt actions taken by FBI Kleinsmith and Sally Moyer. And I do believe that this is just the beginning.
This is the beginning of the thing. There's so much more. Let's move on. Okay, let's see what this girl's doing.
For the former director of the FBI and deputy director of the FBI in criminal prosecution, which is about the strongest thing the IG can do. Seriously, it's a big deal, and he's done it. Think
we're talking about who?
Think about it. Literally one of the highest serving officials in the Department of Justice, and a man, he has also once the highest serving official in the Department of Justice, has been recommended for criminal prosecution by Horowitz. After he does that, that's it. His hands are tied and he is done. In cases where he finds that procedures weren't followed, he maintains a list and ensures the department moves back into compliance in a timely manner. He's a watchdog, not a U.S. attorney. He does oversight. So when people tell you Horowitz has done nothing, direct them to this thread and tell them to direct their anger at the Justice Department, the place their ire belongs for choosing to either prosecute or not prosecute, or just keep you in the dark about it all. Now, Horowitz, he's going to take this document that he created, and he's going to present this to the Department of Justice. Barr then is going to say, okay, this is what we need to do. Now, the reason why they didn't press charges against Comey when the Comey report came out is because it could have gone either way. It wasn't a slam dunk. And they got Comey on the FISA applications. And we might see that the Department of Justice says, you know something, we're not going to prosecute on this because they have something else waiting in the wings. Remember, we need to trust in what they are doing. And I do believe they're going to get it done. And they want to make sure that they have a sealed tight case when they enter prosecution. And I do believe that these sealed...
So they're going to have a sealed tight case. They don't want anything to slip out, any technicalities. They want to have a slam dunk. They want to have it done. And there's no way of snaking out of it. We'll see.
Indictments will start to become unsealed. And what we see right now is the mainstream media, they're really trying to get ahead of this story. And they're trying to say, the IG FISA report, it's really not a big deal. It's a lot of low-level people. But remember, you need to start at the bottom and work your way up. And that's exactly what they're going to do. Remember, it's not just the IG FISA report. We have the criminal investigations. We have Durham. We have Huber, all working on these criminal investigations, the Hillary email investigation. Remember, we also have Epstein. All of this is going to come together at the exact moment where it's going to create a perfect storm. Think about what we've been seeing here. Think about the setup. It's going to be glorious. Now, let's talk about voter fraud, because the U.S. Border Patrol, they found something very interesting. They found fake driver's licenses. They intercepted them.
Fake driver's license in Louisville? Wow.
Mail facility. Hundreds of fake driver's license. And they also had the blueprints on how to make more of them. I wonder what they were going to use these for. Most likely, they were going to create thousands of these. Now, very interestingly, since we're talking about voter fraud, Sidney Powell tweeted out the following. Important, read. And she says hashtag election fraud, hashtag Dallas. And she linked to this article. And this is election fraud on a national scale. And this was done by the Economic War Room on Blaze TV and Russ Ramsland. And they're talking about voter fraud and how it was done. Now, Russ Ramsland is a voter fraud and election expert, and they've released detailed findings from a cyber forensic investigation into election fraud, utilizing compromised voting machines in 2018 and quite probably in the governor's race in 2019 in Kentucky. So in summary terms, the report reveals the following. Number one, security protections in voting machines were disabled. Number two, penetration and manipulation of actual vote tabulation was and is possible. Number three, evidence already exists that votes were electronically manipulated to change election results. This is the 21st century version of Stalin's ruthless observation. It's not the people who vote that count. It's the people who count the votes. Only today's Stalins can do it all by online penetration of unsecured voting machines to count and alter votes and leave almost no IT fingerprints.
So electronic voting systems need to be stopped. We need to go back to ballots, paper, single ballots. It can't be as easily manipulated and fraudulently forfeited.
The findings. In essence, security protections and software operated on voting machines throughout the country have been purposely disabled or unactivated. Penetration in the machines was possible via online access methods widely understood among reasonable sophisticated IT people. And mismatches in timestamp data flows suggest votes were changed. For example, using open source Burp Suite web crawling software, the investigators looked into a company that supplies software used at polling locations in Texas and 15 other states. They found readily accessible information within the company's website showing purposely disclosure of passwords by which anyone could log into databases that include a wide range of voter and precinct and poll worker information, including voter names, addresses, social security numbers, driver's license numbers, etc. More devastating, accessible storyboards effectively amount to disclosure of source code for this software in both iOS and Android form, opening up a range of nefarious black hat hacking and manipulation that can enable, in bottom line terms, control over any and every voting result.
Wow, over any voting result. This has to be stopped somehow. I don't know if it's going to be done by 2020, but we needed to get on this earlier, in my opinion. Probably in 2018, 2017.
This is why Q has been telling us that voter IDs are coming. Now, yesterday, we talked about how the fake news media was putting out stories that the Navy Secretary was going to issue his resignation in protest of Trump, which turned out to be false. Actually, what happened was Trump went ahead and kind of fired the Navy Secretary. So the Pentagon announced it terminated Richard V. Spencer as Secretary of the Navy over his handling of Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher's war crime case. Defense Secretary Mark Esper asked for the Navy Secretary's resignation. And this was after Secretary Spencer's mishandling and continued threats to Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher. Trump tweeted out the following: "I was not pleased with the way that Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher's trial was handled by the Navy. He was treated very badly, but despite this, was completely exonerated on all major charges. I then restored Eddie's rank. Likewise, large cost overruns from past administrations. Contracting procedures were not addressed to my satisfaction. Therefore, Secretary of the Navy Richard Spencer's services have been terminated by Secretary of Defense Mark Esper. I thank Richard for his service and commitment. Eddie will retire peacefully with all the honors that he has earned, including his Trident pin. Admiral and now Ambassador to Norway Ken Braithwaite will be nominated by me to the new Secretary of the Navy, a man of great achievement and success. I know Ken will do an outstanding job. Let's get into some of Q's posts here. This is post 3626. This is November 24, 2019. Q gives us a Twitter link to General Flynn. And this reads as follows. NYPD ready to make arrests in Weiner case, and gives us a link to a Breitbart article. And
Ready to make arrests in the Weiner case. Well, didn't they already arrest him? Or am I mistaken?
in this article, the Blackwater founder and former Navy SEAL Eric Prince said that according to one of his well-placed sources in the New York Police Department, the NYPD wanted to do a press conference announcing the warrants and the additional arrests they were making in the Anthony Weiner investigation, but received huge pushback from the Justice Department. Now, this article is from November 4th, 2016. Q is letting us know about this now. Now, down below it says targeted and silenced gag.
Now, that was November 4th of 2016. November 4th of 2016. So there was some manipulation of the justice system, and this didn't go through like it should have.
For a reason. Because what is on Weiner's laptop? It's Hillary Clinton's emails. 650,000 emails. And there are other disturbing pictures that we come to find out. And this was shut down. Q is letting us know that someone high above gagged the whole thing. Q says pain is coming. Q.
So that gag order, we're going to find out who gagged it from high up and why it was stopped. That is treasonous in my mind. It's not justice. It should be a federal felony that should be prosecutable.
Post 3627. It says future Trip C re-verify notebook, pen, watch, desk, anon interaction coming soon. So first of all, what is a trip code? It is a mix of letters and numbers, which could also include other symbols, that create a hashed password, a coded password that does not disclose the identity of the user. And if you look at the 8kun board, you can see these little numbers and letters and other symbols. That is the hashed password, and that's the trip code. The trip codes are used by board owners and administrators, which identifies who they are. Sometimes it is necessary to change a trip code. Q does this, but Q alerts everyone ahead of time and then confirms after the change is complete. Right now, I do believe that Q's trip code is all zeros. Q is letting everyone know that Q will verify his or her identity. This will involve photos of pens, a watch, just like Q has done in the past. And if we go back to post 481, we can see there is a Q proof. If we go back to post 3232, we can see there's marker 1 set, marker 2 set with watches, and so on. And Q is going to do this once again to show that, yes, this is me. I was on 8chan, now I'm on 8kun, and it's the same exact Q. Post 3628. Q gives us a Twitter link to incarcerated ET, and it says, ladies and gentlemen, Anons present to you the fake news, their duplicity, their hypocrisy, their agenda, their coordinated efforts, and outright lies, side by side for easy dissemination, just like Q asked a thread. And there's a picture of Melania and Hillary Clinton. They're both wearing white. And on the left with Melania, it says Melania Trump's RNC fashion, a scary statement. And by the way, this is written by the same person. On the Hillary Clinton side, it says DNC fashion. Hillary Clinton looked presidential in all white pantsuit. And you can see the differences there. Q down below says enemy of the people. You are the news now. Facts matter. Q. Post 3629. Q says new board created. This is in brackets in bold, pending approval. Code Monkey. It says Project DCOMS. Q. So the new board called Project DCOMS has been created by Q. Post 3630. This is a picture of an individual holding up Restart. Loves hashtag Q. Thanks Q. Restart will make Iran great again. Showing that the Q movement has spread to Iran. And it says down below, we stand united. Where we go on, we go all. NatSec pick upload 1.v1 Q. And 3631 is another picture of a gentleman holding the letter Q. And it says, we stand united. Where we go on, we go all. NatSec p upload 2.v1. And Q is letting us know that the movement is worldwide.
All right, so I served in Korea. This is Korean here, I can tell you that. And so Iran, Korea, other places. I don't know if this is North or South Korea. Probably South Korea, knowing the things that are going on in North Korea. I don't know that it is North Korea, but this is definitely Korean language.
Post 3632 Q gives us a graphic of all these different mainstream media articles, and they're pretty much about Q and Trump and how it's a conspiracy. They're not written in a positive light. This is all negative against Q, and Q just put it together in a collage. Down below, Q gives us something else, and it says number 5. The agency's posture toward the media is basically defensive, reactive, and tongue-tied. What we say is no comment. That disclosure was wrong and outrageous. Next, we wring our hands, send emissaries out to brief key people in the administration and Congress and correct the record. Then hunker back awaiting the next blow. Maybe it's time for an offensive as well as a defensive and an attempt to get things in better balance. Here are some personal thoughts as to do's and don'ts on this score. And it says all portions are classified in secret. So this document was taken from someplace else. And Anon on the board says single link to be found on Google for the agency's posture toward the media is basically defensive reactive. Gives us 2 links to the PDF. Says excerpts from 1984 CIA memo and has 2 links. So the CIA was on defensive mode, and it looks like they were going to infiltrate the mainstream media so they could be on the offensive and defensive and take total control. And this memo is from former Director Casey on how the agency will handle information leaks and how these leaks are published. So it looks like they've taken full control. And as we can see today, they are completely as one with the mainstream media. Post 3633 gives us a picture of an American.
So are you telling me, is Q telling us that by 1984, the media was totally under CIA control? That is a sad day.
Flag. The sun is behind it with some clouds. And then down below gives us a lot of these acronyms. AFIA, AIA, DIA, ESC, ITAC, NOIC, NPIC, NSA, SRD, and then it says Q. Well, Anons have been researching this and looking at this, and they've come up with the following. Consolidated work of amazing Anons is a list of white hat intelligence agencies. These men stand
white hat intelligence agencies. This battle between the white and black hats has been going on at least for 20 years, if not 30 years. This is not an overnight deal.
Beside Q. Joint, the future of intelligence. You bet. So they broke it down. And it says, picture this, a room full of analysts representing practically every intelligence element located anywhere in the Washington area and beyond. Folks, from NSA, DIA, AIA, AFIA, NORC, NPIC, ITAC, SRD, ESC, but none from CIA or KAOS. Uniforms from the Army, Navy, Marines, and Air Force, all side by side, with civilians mixed among them. So AFIA is Air Force Intelligence Agency, AIA is Army Intelligence Agency, DIA is Defense Intelligence Agency, ESC is Electronic Systems Center, ITAC.
So all this means no one from the CIA or KAOS. These are the groups from German Nazi spies sent to undermine and destroy this nation. These two groups here. I didn't know about the KAOS, but I can bet you, I'm going to do some research, I'll bet you they're from the German Nazi spy groups that were sent over here to destroy the United States. Remember, the Third Reich never surrendered.
C is Intelligence Threat Analysis Center. NOIC is Naval Operations Intelligence. The entire deep state, they are trapped by the Patriots. The Patriots have led them down this path. Now they need to spin everything. They're on the defensive.
Anyhow, let's move on. We'll see how all this works out. But I tell you, the battle is still ongoing. It's not over. Not by a long shot. This has been going on for a long, long time. We are going to end it here. Roger Mark from Village, Montana.